I just popped up the feed there. It's got the feed is live. Yes. And I gotta get my we're suiting up our lav mics because we're
suit up.
We're going in professional.
Gosh.
We're very serious about all these things. Gotta get this elastic up here. There we go. And you gotta get this lav mic.
Maybe.
They're not ready to be turned on yet because I haven't taken this off charge yet.
Charge.
I haven't done that yet because I want to get as many as 41%. I think that can carry the whole time.
And if we need to,
We'll
we can
see.
make an adjustment.
Yeah, you know, I barely know. There we are. Unlock the phone to use the accessories. Then we let the phone finish up boosting in. We'll check. We got nothing open. We're opening up the bean. Beyond Podbean concept. And we're going to hit the plus button. Those of you who've been following us on the Facebook, you guys know that the technical aspect of podcasting is not something we consider our strong suit. But we are here, and we are giving it what we've got. Not sure we're giving it all we've got, but we are giving it what we've got to give it. And sometimes when you have to admit that what you're giving it is less than what you've got, but it is everything you've got to give it, you are actually giving it all you've got to give. So
It's true.
I don't know. Yeah,
It's true.
I think it is true.
For
Is yours on yet?
It is indeed.
Is this thing on?
And connect, Todd.
Okay.
Connect.
So mine connect. Yeah, mine's connected. All right. Okay, we're firing it up. This is another episode of the CapmLew podcast with your host CapmLew and co-host, co-pilot,
Co-Captain Luke.
Co-Captain Luke. Yeah, Luke and I are actually equanimous in this endeavor.
Is that a real word?
No.
Okay. I was worried.
Follow me for more
Yeah.
recipes. If
Like
we
and
had a
subscribe.
proper laptop, I would actually Google equanimous.
Yeah, I bet
so
it is,
EQUANIMIOUS, equanimous. Yeah, it's probably in a state of equanimity, which equanimity is related to anonymity and synonymity.
Okay.
And equanimity means we're of equal title.
Oh.
Yeah.
In like a professional environment.
Yeah.
Environment.
It might be equanimitous. I don't know. I'm just pulling these out of the hat of my butt.
Yes, right.
But yeah, it's the CapmLew podcast. It's called the CapmLew podcast, and it is Lou and Luke. Luke, you've been gone.
I have been just for a couple days.
Last week we did 3 episodes in like one shot.
We did indeed.
Because you were going to be gone. You got a kid on the way.
I got a child.
He's got a little wee bairn.
A wee bairn.
A wee bairn coming.
Yes.
And do you know the gender of this? The sex, the biological sex of this child?
Yes, he's going to be a boy. A man.
Yeah.
A boy.
A man child.
My seed.
Are you gonna hold him aloft?
Yes, it'll be like a Lion King type deal. Everything
Like
the light touches.
Some sort of barbarian feel to it.
Yes, dude. Yes, I can't wait.
It is a man child.
Yes, he's a man.
I'm gonna be a grandfather.
Yeah, that's sick, dude.
I found that out
Congratulations.
within the last week. I'm going to be a grandfather. I am. It'll be my first grandchild, our first grandchild, Jimmy and me. And,
yeah.
And I called up some relatives. I said, "Hey, we're going to be a grandfather," and they said, "This is really about where I come from,
Yeah.
the Northeast." They said, "Well, now we'll see."
What does that mean, dude?
It means,
jeez.
It means they said it's a long time and a lot of things that have to happen before there's a baby. So
Gosh,
just don't get too excited.
Jeez.
And I thought, why wouldn't I go ahead and get excited about the possibility of being a granddad? Well,
Right.
because it might not have,
Yeah, you never know.
I was like, so you guys are like telling me not to get happy,
Right.
because then if the baby doesn't make it through the term of gestation,
Yeah.
that if I were happy about the coming of a baby,
Yeah.
that I would then be more sad.
Yeah.
and you know what? I have a lot of respect for where people are coming from.
I mean, I follow the logic technically, but I don't agree with the
overview. I don't agree with the logic.
No.
I think any number of days during which you feel happy, if the reason is good, that's a net gain.
Yeah, a net gain. Yeah,
you know?
Seriously, right?
And if some days come during which you feel really sad,
yeah.
At least you had some happy days before you got there.
Yeah,
I mean, does that follow?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, better to love and lost than never have to loved at all.
Well said.
Type dealio, I guess.
I like it. I like it. So you went to Chicago.
Chicago.
And did you skate?
I did skate one
I
time.
knew you did.
We went up to, what's that park called? It is Asylum Indoor Skate Park. And it was a good time. I got to skate with good friends and realized that I actually do like skateboarding with good friends and good people. Yeah, we had a good time. It was fun.
I saw that you bend the legs. Just trying to cross my legs. I saw that you posted on our CapmLew underscore
the underscore CapmLew underscore podcast
in TikTok.
Tik-Tok.
Don't get me started.
TikTok.
In TikTok.
Yeah.
Or in Instagram.
Yeah.
Just for the granddaddies out here. Do you just go like the CapmLew podcast? Because if you search, it's going to come up with the underscores.
I think if you just search the CapmLew podcast, it comes out.
See now, that relieves me of all of this underscore stuff.
Right, yeah, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be super technical.
Well, that's downright helpful.
And I don't think Instagram or TikTok lets you have spaces in between the words in your names, but I like the way that it looks spaced. So you just throw an underscore in there, and then we're like relevant, you know? We're finally relevant to the youth.
Well, I'm depending on you for that, Luke. You are how many years younger than I am?
You're almost 50. I'm probably like 23 years younger than you are.
Okay. So we're multi-generational.
Dude,
skateboarding podcast.
Multi-generational.
We touch upon motorcycling.
Second.
Not exactly chopper builders, but we run bikes and like that. And I'm glad you went to Chicago in the middle of the winter time.
Yeah.
Did you bring boots?
No, dude. So here's the thing. The first date I went on with my wife, I flew to Chicago. I never met her before. And my friend who I went to visit this time told me, he was like, hey, you're going on a date, you should wear your Vans. Because he's more attire minded, you know, like he is interested in a way that a person looks and thought it was important. And I trusted him because he's from Chicago. And I was like, okay. So I went in my Vans and it was so cold. It snowed like 6 inches. It was horrible.
Was it slushy?
It wasn't slushy, thankfully, but it was frigid cold because it gets so cold out there. And I regretted my decision. So this time, all the way up to the point where I was walking out the door, I was like, I'm going to wear my boots 100%. And then I was just like, oh, my boots are going to be so clunky and this sucks. And so I just wore my shoes. And I wasn't too cold, but there were a couple times where I was like, you idiot, you did it again. And this time you knew, you know what I mean?
So is this about like trying to travel without checked luggage?
Well,
Did you check a bag?
No, thankfully. I just carry on. It's way easier. But part of my thought process, and it's a little bit silly in retrospect, was like, I don't have to take my boots off to go through security. And like boots, if you're walking somewhere for long periods of time, they can be uncomfortable or at least cumbersome. So
you're heavy.
Yeah, and I have MTEs on there. They're very, very worn out. So I thought I'd split the difference and just
What's
go my
an MTE?
They're Vans, like outdoor shoes, which are actually pretty sick. They're supposed to be waterproof, and they have a reverse waffle grip, so they have more grip on the ice and the snow and some such. They're actually pretty cool shoes for people who want something a little bit more tactical in their Vans.
I think it stands for multi-terrain edition.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I agree with you, even though I have no idea.
Well, I'm of the following school of thought. If I'm going on a trip, I'm definitely not going to be skating. It simplifies everything.
Yes.
That's pretty rare.
That's rare, yeah.
So I don't know what the fly-in concept is nowadays in terms of taking a skateboard.
Well,
you took your skateboard, didn't you?
I did, but you have to be careful what airlines you use, and it's always a gamble.
Okay.
Every time. This time
what can happen?
Well, the worst case scenario is you get up to the gate, and they say you're going to have to check that, and you have to pay $60 to gate check a thing.
Wait. gate checking.
Well, so I'm using the term gate check, which it wasn't the right term.
Yes,
Actually
because-
check the bag.
Because gate checking
Go ahead.
is, I mean, we've done that a million times, and gate checking has always been free.
Yeah, so the worst case scenario is they actually make you check it and they take it down and they put it in the cargo hold of the plane.
But that's what gate checking is.
No,
Yeah.
they do, but
Gate
they
checking,
don't
what
bring
they
it.
do is
Yes.
they pop open the side and they throw
Throw
it
it in
on
there.
top of the luggage.
Yes.
And everything with the pink tag
Gets
gets
pulled,
pulled
and brought up.
brought to the gate.
Yes.
That's gate checking.
The worst case scenario is they take it, put it in the luggage, and then you have to go pick it up at the carousel. And I've had to do that before, and it really sucks.
And did they make you swipe your card?
Yeah, they make you pay for it.
That's new.
That's
To
new,
me.
and it
That's
sucks.
very new to me, and that's a big bummer.
Yeah. Now the most likely thing that's going to happen, like maybe 50% of the time, is they will gate check it for you. So they put a tag on it, they give you half of it, they take it from the gangway and bring it back up to the gangway, and you just get it. But what you get on maybe a more expensive airline is they just let you bring it on. And I put the first flight wasn't super packed, so I just put it in the overhead, and then second flight was pretty packed, but I was in the back row, so they just put it behind the seats in the back row, which is way better because you kind of just slide through and you don't have to stop anywhere or do anything. And you can. What's sick about traveling with a skateboard though is within the realm of responsible civics, you can ride your skateboard in the airport.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, like in Chicago, they have like from the front of the airport where you walk in to like
You
where the
literally
gates
stepped
are.
on your board and rolled?
Yeah, and the floor is super smooth, and they have these walls in the Chicago O'Hare that kind of wave, and I like put it down pretty gently and just pushed a couple times, and you can like slide in and out. You can kind of roll the wave, and honestly, it was like such a breath of fresh air. Like I remembered, I was like, oh, I really like doing this. This is incredible. I want to skateboard all the time. This is so much fun. Like
I'm so out of that lane because the way I look, I have experienced being treated automatically like a criminal
yes,
several times
yeah,
in my life.
Right.
So I tend to be like, I really don't want to spend a night in jail.
no,
I really don't want, I mean, things escalate so fast that I tend to be really, I try to be really,
yeah,
I don't know how to describe it.
like civil or even beyond civil. Like
I try to behave
Yeah.
extremely professionally
Yes.
in public
Yeah.
so that I don't run as high a risk
yes,
of being profiled into treatment that I do or do not deserve.
right,
Especially in Europe.
ah,
I mean, I was in Belgium and I sat down on my bags in a very, in America, you would just sit down on your bags. It's an airport.
yeah,
And the cops were on me like
whoa,
crazy. And man, they were not chill.
dude,
And, I'm not a fan of Belgium.
just in general,
Not.
yeah,
They're brusque.
okay,
They're very brusque.
sure.
Yeah.
And are they very socially minded as well? Like
They're also
very
terse.
terse.
Yes,
Jeez,
they're very
T-E-R-S.
commanding and
Yeah.
brusque and terse. The over the counter, the
Yeah, they
culture
just
is
don't
just
care.
the culture is a very consistently brusque culture. There are different ways to be rude.
Yeah.
The way in which the Belgian culture appears to be rude to the American sensibility, it's all relative.
Yes.
There are no moral issues here.
Yeah.
But the ways that feels like friction to me as an American is that the Belgian culture is automatically angry at you
Right.
for being stupid.
Ah.
And as an American,
Yeah.
you're just not exactly sure, or as an aging punk rocker, or as a, whatever, however this is, you just aren't in touch with why you're stupid.
Is it like
You know.
so? Chicago and New York are similar in that
Oh,
way.
I'm used to both of those.
Well, I'm interested by the differences because I feel like in Chicago there's an equality because everybody just accepts the fact that everybody else is going to be pretty much totally geared towards whatever they're doing at all times. And because everybody's like that, there is an equality in play wherein everybody's kind of just looking out for themselves. They're not worried about other people. And if you're being stupid, everybody feels the freedom to say that to another person.
I'll break it down with an example.
Go ahead.
Sit down at a restaurant. I'm the first one they come to. They want to know what you want to drink.
Yes.
So I order a a Wobble Pop. I
Yeah.
can't remember what, but I
Yeah,
ordered
like
a
a-
Bud Light.
Yeah, or something.
All right.
Yeah, right.
So, and then as people are going around and ordering,
Yeah,
the guy has a little, thing he's tapping it into or whatever.
sure.
And as everyone goes around and they're ordering, I realize, like, I'm an idiot. I
Okay.
just ordered an American Wobble Pop, and I should be ordering a Stella. Because
Yeah.
Stella is brewed right there
Right.
in Belgium where I was.
Sure.
So I'm like, when everyone's finished and there's pause,
Yeah.
I say, excuse me, I'd like to change mine to a Stella.
Yeah.
And the guy turns to me and he says, no.
He literally told you no?
Well, so are you surprised?
Dude, I am. That's wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but he didn't just tell me no.
Yeah.
He told me no with obvious intent of scorn.
Yeah, like you're stupid. Why?
Like
what
this
were you
is a
thinking?
completely ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
And I said, because I'd been to Belgium several times by then, probably 3.
Yeah. So you like know what you're handling. You're right. You know what you're doing.
I said, no, it's easy.
You just hit the button.
Just change it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He says, I can't change it. And I said, no, yeah, you can. I want a Stella. You're bringing me a Stella.
Stella. And it was like,
And I got a Stella.
jeez.
And at that point, I feel like maybe I was speaking the language.
Yeah. So like, because is that the way that they interact with
I
each
don't
other
know.
as well?
I've been there, but
Okay.
I haven't lived there.
Sure. Yeah.
I may have been completely inappropriate and embarrassing to my hosts.
Okay.
I know that I've been an embarrassment to my hosts.
Yeah. So
I
American.
know that I have. Yeah,
Right.
I'm just too bubbly, too vibrant. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not dried out enough. I don't know.
Right.
But I know that there was a huge change when I was walking in a town called Leuven.
Mm-hmm.
And in Leuven, there was a bar. And outside the bar, they had scooters that had been chopped into, like, raked out choppers.
That's kind of sick.
They looked like little tiny itty bitty baby Harleys.
That's kind of cool,
They
dude.
were sick, all
That's
right?
pretty badass.
And I was walking with my son, and I was like, "Look at this!
Yeah.
Look, will you look at that?
Just
will
look
you
at it.
just look at
Yeah,
this?"
would you
I
look
was
at that?
taking it,
Yeah.
and we went inside the bar, and dude, the guy who owned the bar came out, and he was like, "Oh, it's so nice to have you here. We love these things, yada yada, yada yada yada." And we were
Sure.
just talking about these sick chops they were doing on these, because everyone rides scooters there. And they were taking the scooters and doing something with them that I loved.
Yeah, totally.
So I was really happy about that connection because they were extremely warm and interested and curious.
Sure.
Another story.
Yeah.
I went to a skate park in Leuven,
Okay.
which is a really nice concrete skate park, and it's at their athletic plex
Yeah, that's
of
right.
whatever sort it is.
Right.
And just a big place, giant swimming pool, and they have a nice skate park on the side of it. And
Right.
It was wintertime, but it was warm enough to skate.
Sure.
And I wanted a coffee. I went in with one of my sons, and I get a coffee, and so I'm like, ordered a coffee, and then I wanted some half and half, some cream.
Yeah. Why not?
And so I said to the guy, "Hey, can I get some cream for my coffee?"
Yeah.
And guess what he said?
No.
He said no.
Bro.
And that was an earlier
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
That was
sure.
years before the last time with the beer. And I said no.
Yeah.
He said, "You should have told me when you ordered it."
Jeez.
And being myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, I don't know if this was the wrong or the right thing to do, but being myself,
Yeah.
I said, "I did tell you."
You just straight up were like, yeah.
I said, "I did tell you." And
Yeah.
he says, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, I told you right now. I want some
Yeah.
cream for my coffee. This isn't hard.
Yeah.
Give me some cream for my coffee so I can
Yeah.
have cream in my coffee."
Right.
And again, like so angry, like super,
Wow.
super pissed off. Like if your Starbucks barista were that angry at you,
Yeah.
they would be written up by their manager.
Yeah. Like, right.
Like there's no
Immediately.
question
Sure.
that in our culture, that level of anger is completely inappropriate.
Right.
That's like coming to blows
Yeah. Right.
level anger. As a New Yorker, as a person who's in the Midwest, I've done time in Chicago, I've done
Sure.
time in big cities. I've done time in southern cities. This is the way people act when they're ready to escalate and go to blows with one another.
Sure.
And I'm just experiencing it, trying to get some cream in my
yeah,
coffee.
like, bro.
And
right.
so, and then there's when the cops like rousted me
Yeah,
hard
right.
for putting my bag down and popping a squat on my bag.
Were you in the airport or outside
Yeah, I was
of it?
inside the airport.
Wow.
And I was riffraff. I could
Jeez.
tell. My son and I both we were being treated as riffraff.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I mean
Is it their perception of Americans? They immediately have a disrespect from your experience. Yeah, wow.
I don't think so. I don't know if they can tell we're Americans or not. I don't look like most Americans. I got a crazy long beard.
Yeah. And the tattoos, it probably doesn't help them.
I probably do look like an. I don't know, man. I don't know what they do when the Red Bull team goes through.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with the hooligans coming out of America. Maybe that's why they treat me that way.
Yeah, right. Because they just it is. I'm really interested by different cultures because it really shows.
We're discussing Belgium, by the way.
Yeah, it's Belgium.
My trips to Belgium.
It's very different, and I kind of like Chicago. There's something that I really enjoy about the fact that a person isn't going to hide the way that they feel about something. Like we're not playing some weird verbal communication game in which you have to guess how a person is feeling. No, they're just going to let you know. And hopefully in those situations you can feel free to let them know how you feel as well. And there's an honesty there that I feel is equitous.
Equitous.
I guess.
Just equus.
Did I just make up another word?
No,
I hope I did.
You should just use equus. It means horse in Latin.
Equus. It's like a horse in Latin.
We have a horse graphic up there.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's sick. Oh, you can catch the end of it.
Bone horse.
Of course.
Bone horse is there.
It's a boneless.
Also, Skull Guy is here. Well,
and all kinds of stuff.
It's nice talking about Belgium, but we actually have a couple of things that we want to talk about today. In this episode, and we're like 19 minutes in before we break down what we're going to talk about. We're idiots.
Fine.
We are going to talk about, we've got some news that has hit the wire. We want to talk about the hyphenate and barracks.
Yes.
And we want to talk about RIP, with respect, Jake Phelps.
Yeah.
Article that came out.
Yeah.
And the one is not heavy, the other is very heavy.
Yeah.
So, and all of these are all beginning conversations about these. We're new at podcasting, and you know what? We're gonna kill it.
I think so.
We're gonna do a great job.
I think so too.
So, I'm. And also we've had a little bit of redecorating here in the upper sanctum. We've got a big old board rack that goes basically from floor to ceiling. You can't see it.
Yeah.
It'll for the YouTube and Facebookers. We've got that. We've got some changes to some of the stuff on the wall, and the rest of the room is also different because we are looking at a certain likelihood of probably changing camera angle. Yeah. And also having some guests up here. Yeah. It's doable.
It feels like such a travesty they can't see the sick cutout on
Shall I unplug?
If you feel bold enough.
Is the door closed enough?
Here.
Push it closed for him.
Don't hold on, wait.
It's okay. So on the wall behind us, I cut a POP.
Such a sick
poster.
Photo.
You should never cut an ancient poster of great value. I cut it around the door so the door works.
You literally just cut it, dude.
I did.
Gosh,
and then we've got our board rack, and the art wall will grow and change. And then over here, I feel like maybe the best view is this one. It's getting there where you can see that's the desk we sit at. It's a really nice desk. And the best view in the house is that we've got this guy on the ground. He comes in here and he sleeps. He makes cute little grunting and sighing noises, and he farts out toxic clouds the entire time.
Yeah, dude.
He just farts and farts and farts. Funny. See, we've got this like lean-to, or not lean-to, like a loft.
A loft.
Storage above. And then podcasting below, and it's not a bad sized room. It's a small room. Here's a window that we're going to replace with actually a storm door, and so we'll give you a little bit of a workshop tour. When the storm door is installed, I think that'll be very interesting because the storm door will be an occasion for us to sit outside. Yeah. On the what do you call it? there's a little sitting porch on the top of the front roof there, and we'll just sit out there with a paintball gun and shoot cop cars.
Oh my gosh, dude. That's not true. Jeez. Oh my gosh. No.
One of these days, when we hit the wire big time, we're going to get us a GoPro that has the front-facing camera on it.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Up there.
Yeah.
And a wide-angle lens on it.
Yeah.
And then we might actually do a second angle and edit.
Yes.
But that is where we're starting to get into, like, serious stuff. The other thing that I would like to be able to do, and I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah.
I'd like to mount a green screen backdrop
Oh, sick.
on the ceiling
Yeah.
that can come down behind me when I'm sitting at the desk. And
Yeah.
I'd like to start green screen casting.
Oh.
Like do video breakdowns and stuff.
Sure.
Because the first story of the day is Gifted Hater, who is honestly, I love this guy.
Yeah, he's good, dude.
He's good for us. Whether people, I think everyone loves Gifted Hater right now, pretty much. I don't think there's a lot of social capital or I don't think there's a lot of social capital involved in hating on what used to be this is so hard to talk about.
Go ahead.
It used to be the case not too long ago that anyone that came out and began to poke at some of these things,
Mm-hmm.
they used to get crushed.
Yeah.
And a good example is Gary Rogers and Skateline NBD out of Metro.
Yeah.
They were a Midwest operation. And Gary came out, and I remember how precious it was because he came out and he he ridiculed what was ridiculous.
Right.
And he don't always agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't share the same takes that early Gary Rogers had on things, but the fact that somebody was stirring the pot and causing there to be just laughter and conversation about things that are subjectively ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
It meant a lot to me.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed it.
Right.
And then boom. I mean, I don't know how far in, but not too many episodes in, Thrasher bought it.
Yeah.
But before that, I watched Gary Rogers going on The Wire and like walking back the fact that he had made fun of this or that person.
Sure.
And if you haven't committed a moral infraction or a serious ethical infraction, do not apologize. Always make it worse. If you have expressed a perspective, look, every perspective is partial.
Yeah.
You're never going to be comprehensive. So you're never going to be 100% everything to everyone all the time.
Yeah.
And in media like that, when you're spoofing or when you're critiquing or ridiculing, you have to stand your ground.
Yep.
And I watched Gary Rogers walk it back, and then I watched it get bought by Thrasher, and I watched it become what it is now.
Yeah.
And it's my opinion that what Skateline NBD is now is mostly a prop for the mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like the mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
You know, when I look at what they're doing and what they're about,
right,
I just think they're trying to get us all to party.
Yeah.
I think it's really about a culture of sad clout and partying and stuff like that. I certainly don't need any of the mainstream to keep me skateboarding.
Sure.
You know, and I don't think you do either. But I really like if they'd occupy themselves from other things. But Gifted Hater has done a breakdown on the and wouldn't this, what I think is kind of a golden age we're entering into, wouldn't it have to start with the barracks?
Dude, well,
let's just hope it doesn't end there.
Yeah.
The barracks is the low-hanging fruit of skateboard media and cultural critique.
Right.
it is the lowest hanging fruit. I mean, you can't take 6 steps in the barracks without running into something that just needs to be ridiculed.
Yeah, right.
This rhetoric that emerges from the barracks about core skateboarding always has.
Yeah.
Since forever ago.
Sure.
I guess 14 years now of the barracks. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All of this talk about core skateboarding as if it's some sort of like huge institution.
Yeah, it's like an ethereal, like an ethereal philosophy that's impossible to define.
And completely authoritative.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. That's the inconsistency that's so painful to swallow. Is like, oh, you know, it's just this thing. You know, it's what, you know, we're core, but like, don't ask any questions or don't do anything. But you should always do what you want though, because skateboarding is for you. But it's not though. Definitely don't wear those shoes and don't push like that.
Doesn't the entire core argument really hinge on where you can shop and what you can buy?
Yeah, kind of weird how that happens. Huh?
Anytime I used to say this thing. When I was running my brand, I would say, question authority.
Right.
Especially douchey retail authority.
Yeah.
You know, right. You can tell it's douchey because it makes you not feel good about yourself.
Yeah, right.
And
gosh, that's so funny.
It's so funny because that's when it comes to I'm self-editing.
Go ahead.
Because when it comes to, like, not a week goes by of putting out content that I don't get accused somewhere, somehow, of being a bully.
Yeah, I know, dude, right? That's hilarious.
Playing the bully card is so interesting because you look at who's pulling the bully card.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 fingers point back at you, bro.
Yeah.
You have that. Like the mild drama that tried to blow up about us talking about kickflips.
Dude, that's so funny.
Somehow that got turned into
so funny.
Me coming at kids.
Yes.
About kickflips.
Yes.
And like they shouldn't do them or they shouldn't skate if they're doing them. I will definitely say, listening back to the way I talk, I'm pretentious. Ridiculously pretentious.
You really feel that way?
Oh, yeah. Come on, dude. With the 50-cent words and all that stuff.
I don't think... well, I mean, I'm obviously biased, but...
Well, thanks for being biased.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, but I don't think that that's necessarily true. I mean, part of the... And I'm not even going to call it the problem. Part of what was happening is that I pulled a segment out of a 15-minute... running like thought that we were following.
Probably a rant.
I think that we were. I
think
that's unfair. But I think it's unfair. I think that language is kind of charged with some negative aspects. We were following a thought, and the way that we move across ideas is not necessarily linear. And the reason I posted it is exactly the reason why we're getting all the comments like, "Oh, you guys can't skate." Why are you?"
It was a good clip, though.
And the point is to be provocative on purpose. And part of the reason I cut it the way that I did is to give people like 3/4 of the thought and kind of leave it hanging to let them fill it in. And if you wanted to know more, you could go watch it, which is part of the way you do Tik-Tok.
You trying to put a hook in them?
Yeah, I was trying to hook them, and it worked because like people are on there like, "Oh, blah blah blah," all like it's just funny because that's. What they were accusing us of saying, if you listen to it carefully, was exactly the opposite of what we were saying.
I'm happy to get treated like I'm a bully.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting treated like a bully while I'm contributing my thoughts and words into the ether.
Yes.
They're always just a little perspective of it.
Right.
And well, that was good. I digress.
I would just quickly, I just to add on a thought, I think it's actually kind of cool that we're actually, while we are platforming our own ideas and opinions and ethics onto the worldwide intergalactic sphere, we're actually giving people the space to speak their mind, even if we disagree with them. And that's something that skateboarding has historically done pretty poorly, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we're not like pulling people's comments or getting on there and arguing with people, like, no, this is an open space. You can like say whatever you want as well. If you disagree with us, then that's fine. It's kind of a cool deal because what we're giving our opinions, and we always say for what it's worth. I end all of our posts for what it's worth, because it's such a good tagline, because we're not saying that we're king of the castle. We're giving a perspective that you can either take it or leave it, you know. And it's also funny because people definitely do identify themselves in the comments as being the very thing that we're advocating, you know, or, you know, participating in the ethical principles that we're advocating against, which is just hilarious. But it's cool because they're listening to it, you know.
I mean, yeah. One thing that's difficult, having been 20-something years in this area where I live, is I like these guys.
I know.
I really like them.
Right.
I know that might be hard to believe, but I actually don't think that skateboarding is the be-all, end-all, perfect purpose of existence.
Yes.
And I think it's a great platform
Yeah.
for ideas and personalities that you don't always run into.
Right.
Some of which are mine.
Yeah, right.
And Luke's.
Yeah.
And ideas are funny things because a lot of ideas are opinions.
Yep.
And everyone has them, and most of them stink. And that's granted in the whole thing. So
right.
if you listen to an opinion podcast, then you're going to have it feels like we didn't learn how to do this.
Yeah.
Like somewhere in our backgrounds, as a people, that we didn't learn how to experience someone critiquing a mainstream.
Yeah.
And in skateboarding, that's particularly troubling to me.
Yes.
Because our mainstream culture is governed strongly and tightly by industry, corporate, media conglomerations that are all selling us things.
Right.
And at the wholesale level, where the brands are, they've got weird corporate holding companies and international business arrangements running them.
Yeah.
And then that trickles down to the core shops,
right,
who have operated like the freaking shock troops of enforcement.
Yeah.
Whether it's what kind of pants or socks or shoes you're buying, brands on your shirt, brands on your board. I have multiple stories from my city of the Nike, Adidas core shop that has the capture of all the industry activity and cultural activity.
Right.
Like if someone shows up at their thing and they're not welcome, then the sponsored riders will give them a shove.
Jeez.
And you know, really, they've really got it locked down.
Right.
And they're shock trooping for short said Thrasher.
Yeah.
It ain't Trans World.
I know, dude.
That's picking on you for not being street enough in the early 2000s. You had to be street, no park, no round wall.
Yeah.
Then it somehow opened up. I mean, and then every time it opens up, there's no apology for the years of bullying that they did. There's no editorial apology or story of personal growth coming from the editorial level of Thrasher.
Right.
They just move on. Oh, we don't gay bash now. As if we never did.
Right.
There's no heartfelt apology for like a ton of stuff that's gone on, and I have a feeling one of the reasons why is because there's so many skeletons. So much legacy is at stake.
Yeah.
That if we're going to have proper editorial journalism, opinion journalism going on, we better start with the barracks.
Yeah.
The barracks is a fairly new institution. Its transgressions are fairly mild. Its personality, you know, it's business integrity stuff.
Right.
So like everybody's gonna pillory Steve Barra.
Right.
For the kind of stuff that Steve Barra was gonna do.
Right.
He was always gonna do those things.
Sure.
And I'm wondering, you know, now like the real looking back, looking at the work of Big Brother, looking at that whole era, you know, nobody wants, they're all like, that's in the past, man. And I'm like, you know what's funny about when you don't come to terms with what's in the past is it's actually in the present too.
Yeah.
Like coming to terms with it doesn't mean heads have to roll.
Right.
but it doesn't mean, it means that words have to be spoken.
Right.
And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
To say, yeah, no, back in the 90s and the 2000s, I didn't think it was good. I don't think it was good. I think overall it was a damaging to humanity culture. It's overly hedonistic. It's inconsiderate of,
Sure.
you know, it's inconsiderate of serious considerations.
When you say it, can you define it?
Mainstream predominant skateboard culture, Big
Sure.
Brother, Thrasher.
Yeah.
You know, I think that they were very successful at driving the more, you know, the kinder, gentler forms of skateboarding out of business.
Yeah.
There was a lot of tactic and a lot of history that doesn't reflect well on the ethical considerations. It's a free market.
Yeah.
They tackled the free market. They dominated. Is that good for them? Is that bad for us?
Right.
There's not a lot of profit in saying yes or no, but I will say this, that every time someone began to ridicule or pull at any of those threads,
Right.
they either got shut down or bought up.
Yep.
And what I love about podcasting is we're not for sale.
Yep.
We're
Right.
here.
Right.
So
Yeah.
upshot of Gifted Hater and the Hyphenate, what I loved and really challenged my thinking about it was that Gifted Hater really put a lot of the responsibility on Joey, the Hyphenate.
Sure.
Really put the responsibility back on Joey, that by the time Steve Barra had mistreated him several times, he should have known this isn't going to work out. And in my uptake from the Gifted Hater thing, basically what it seems like Joa, who is Gifted Hater, was saying was, you should have known that none of this was going to work out, and you were getting scammed because this guy was mistreating you, and so why did you go deeper and deeper with a guy? And what I loved about it was Joey from the Hyphenate jumped on the comments and was like, thanks so much, it was a really even treatment, and it was super professional, super ethical.
Right.
And Gifted kind of ran down Joey over his media. Like he doesn't have that many views. His acumen isn't that great. He's not that big.
Sure.
He should have known that someone as low level as he is wasn't going to get really considered seriously by the barracks.
Sure.
I don't necessarily disagree or agree. I think that the part I tend to pay attention to is the adults in the room are supposed to conduct themselves ethically.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Nope.
Words were spoken.
Right.
We all grew.
Right.
This was good.
This was good.
This was good.
I think the thing that it's not that I don't like it. I think that there is an aspect to Gifted Hater's take within that lane of reasoning.
Victim blaming?
Yeah, you can move in that direction really quick.
I think it's a little victim blaming.
Yeah, it's a little victim blaming because it appears from the information that I currently have that Joey treated the barracks and Barra with integrity, and that
he did.
He received non-integritous. The integrity was not there on the receiving end from Steve Barra specifically. So, but I do think that within this framework of this conversation, that you could give critique, which is maybe what Gifted Hater did.
He did.
But I think it's important not to lose the bigger picture
and he didn't.
Which is awesome, because having been in conversations and interactions with people who like to subvert conversation, especially around topics that really matter, that's such a good way to cloud a conversation, is by flipping it on the person who's spoken up and critiquing the things that they did poorly instead of focusing on the point. And I also,
but it's not it's not illegitimate.
I don't think so either.
To consider.
Yeah.
I thought that Gifted Hater's take was a little heavy.
Sure.
On sort of, I don't feel that he victim blamed.
No.
Although I think that case could be made. I thought it was a little bit heavy on how low level the Hyphenate was, and he never should have expected this or that. And I asked myself, what built in Joey the Hyphenate the expectation that X, Y, or Z was going to happen, and it was all based on a heavy hitter in the skateboarding industry,
Right.
making verbal and email, which email is admissible in court. Text messaging can only be admissible after data analysis
Like
that
vetting.
actually has to be vetted,
Right.
because most text messages are admitted to court as graphic.
Okay.
But email is, you can prove, I don't know about the state laws of California, but
Sure.
I know in many states that you can prove verbal contractual arrangement through
Right.
email.
Right.
So email is where business gets done.
Yep.
And email receipts are a bigger deal than most things. And guys like in the industry who are responsible for their own reputations,
Sure.
they are supposed to, they're supposed to operate with a certain accountability.
Yeah.
And I think accountability is what is coming
Sure.
in the skateboarding culture and industry.
Right.
That segues into our second news story, which is a heartbreaking article that was published. Who published it?
It was a San Francisco Tribune. I sent it to you. Let me look
Yeah.
really quick.
The
The SF Standard, I think.
San Francisco Standard.
Yeah.
And who's the author of that?
Let me look really quick.
Yeah.
Yep, it's the FS Standard, and the author was David. Don't know how to say the last name. Maybe you got it.
Let's see. Oh, Sjostet.
Wow.
SJOSTE. What is it?
DT.
No, there's a J in there.
SJOSTEDT.
Yeah, Sjostet.
Okay.
That is like Norwegian.
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
sick, bro.
That's
I
like
like
a
it.
Danish or Norwegian last
Yeah,
name.
absolutely.
Well, David Sjostet from the San Francisco Standard published an article
Yeah.
that was heartbreaking.
Yes.
And I don't know how I already knew, but the well-beloved former senior editor of Thrasher magazine, Jake
Yes.
Phelps, passed away 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
3.
I think it was like. Oh, go ahead. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And Jeff Grosso passed away after him.
2019. Yeah, March 19.
And Mark Scott Monk
Yes.
from Grindland Line passed away before that.
Yeah.
And Dylan Reeder passed away before that.
Right. And there's two others that they mention in here.
There are, and they're not as nationally known.
Mark
And there are
and Dylan.
so many more who
Yes.
passed away. In fact, I heard recently that fentanyl overdose, they all died from opiates.
Yeah.
Opiate overdose.
Yeah.
And I have been hearing a statistic being bandied about that I would invite our readers, listeners, and viewers to verify for themselves that opiate overdose, or opioid, which is synthetic opiates, right? Opiate and opioid overdose is the #1 killer in America this year.
Really? Is that true? That's dark.
Will you Google that?
Yeah. All right.
I'd like to know by what statistical
Analysis. Yes.
that could be true. Because I've been hearing this, and when I've heard it, and I know that I have looked into it a little bit, the case for saying that is relatively strong. And I've been saying, like, the upshot of skateboarding culture in the like at the Thrasher level has been this this to encourage a lifestyle of a kind of hedonism that's not philosophically sound, and that really wants you to party like a rock star, wants you to get hurt, wants you to pay the dues, get hurt, and wants you to have a homie crew that's all about the hugs and high fives. And it really goes hand in hand with the encouragement of substance abuse.
Yes.
Lots of alcohol. And the dangers of alcohol abuse are self-evident.
Yeah.
But because it's so pervasive, people really aren't on their game about it.
Yeah.
But the dangers of these other substances, I mean, we had a local skate legend here who for some years went by the Instagram handle XYZ my name takes pills.
Jeez, dude.
This was a shop sponsored by the Kingmaker shop that gets people sponsored into California from Cincinnati. This was the front facing attitude of Cincinnati skateboarding
Sure.
at basically the highest level of Cincinnati, and this young man was talented.
Yeah.
And this was when Dylan Reeder was still alive.
Sure.
That I made the joke to this. He was just a kid to me. He was probably 21. I was 40 something probably, and I made that funny joke.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, is this the Dylan Reeder look? Where is this? Where I go to sign up for the Dylan Reeder lookalike contest?
Right.
And it's funny because there was just a drama on Gifted Hater some months back between two notable pros about one of them changing his look.
Sure.
One of them had been associated with Dylan Reeder, and the other one was had come up and gotten into that circle.
Sure.
And had reinvented his look based on that aesthetic. You know, the like tight dickies that are too short.
Yep.
Which is, I don't think they're too short.
Like low cut shoes.
Yes, low cut shoes. Slip-ons. There you go.
And flannel that fits really well.
Or a wife beater.
A wife beater.
A t-shirt. You
with
know,
a tiny hat.
Yes, right.
Dude,
so he reinvented himself. He had a bunch of looks before that, and he settled in.
Right.
And also with good hair.
Yeah.
This particular skater was Elijah Burrell.
Yeah.
And I think Elijah Burrell's like style as just a guy in skateboarding. I don't care how Elijah Burrell's pants fit.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know. I've never had a conversation with Elijah Burrell, and of the interviews in long form I've seen of him, I'm, as ho-hum.
Yeah.
Me and my skateboard, we have our own thing.
We have our own thing, bro. Yeah.
I don't feel like skateboarding's trying to kill me. I jump on my skateboard, I roll around, I do some frontside grinds. I do that stupid trick I always do.
You know the one.
Up to 50 times,
yes.
And I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then I pull a groin muscle. That's fine. I'm still happy and still finish the session. That happened to me this month. I pulled a hip flexor. And it's greatly improved. It was just a muscle pull.
Yeah, sure.
But watching one guy go after another guy in a Twitter battle over you changed your look, you think you're part of this or part of that.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's all fine. But the encouragement to take pills, the encouragement to do drugs, the just endorsement. I think that's the word.
It's a full-on endorsement. Yeah, by the prevailing culture. Like, we should just party. Which is what they say.
Say that again.
It's an endorsement by the prevailing culture to party. And not like party hard to a large degree. I'm sure it's different in different scenes, but it's definitely the scene in Thrasher. And the guy who owns Thrasher, which I don't know what his name is, I can't remember.
California Land Surfer.
He even said in this article.
Oh, the article is an absolute slayer. What's the title of the article?
It's called "The Killer of a Skateboarding Legend Went Unnamed for Years. Could Deaths Have Been Prevented?" ? Not even by a skateboarding source too, which is a little bit bothersome to me.
Yeah, it's not Thrasher magazine.
Or it's not.
I'm mad.
Yeah,
I'm actually angry because you might have noticed I'm angry. I have a low opinion of Jenkem magazine.
Yes.
Because when it came to women's issues in skateboarding, they wrote some puff pieces. When it came to skateboarding finally wrapping its head around not making fun of people's personal sexual predilections, Jenkem magazine again does relatively low level work. That's an opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Come at me, bro. Because what they do is they look at how great it is that we've got women and how great it is that we're done with this sexual erotic bigotry, and then they act like it's so great, but they I think it really needs to be said that but Thrasher and Big Brother sucked because of this. They were really bad.
Sure.
I knew it when I was young. I know it now. You didn't. You liked it.
Right.
Because you were like a hedonist and you were on your boy thing. And I don't know. I was a kid.
Yeah.
As a kid, I knew that was lame.
Sure.
And stupid.
Right.
And I criticized that.
Yes.
Now, I was asking you to re-say that thing.
Yeah.
About the endorsement.
Yeah.
Because what I saw here was.
Yeah.
That when a gifted, talented writer with good fashion sense.
Go ahead.
Decides to takes pills as their Instagram handle, right?
Yeah.
They don't get pulled into the skate shop by the power that be and who regulates everything.
Yeah.
And told, hey man, you're blowing it, kids are dying.
Yep.
People are dying.
Yep.
And this was before we lost Grosso. This was before we lost Monk. This was before we lost Phelps. This was before we lost Dylan.
Right.
This was before, and so many other deaths.
Yep.
Read the title of that article again.
The title is as follows. The killer of a skateboarding legend went unnamed for years. Could deaths have been prevented? I remember discussing this with you and another friend right when this happened, and I was like, well, does anybody know how he died? And everybody in their heart knew, but there was no source to go to about it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was like, oh, it's probably drugs.
I caught
and
it.
Here it was.
I caught it in comments that got removed.
Yeah.
I caught it by lurking social media from, I can't remember who, and I don't have receipts, but it is my recollection, foggy as that may be, that I caught it in comments from someone that I felt was an authority on the topic.
Right.
And I didn't like talking about it because I didn't have any receipts on it.
Sure.
But now we know.
Well, and even I've been highly critical of the way that the skateboarding industry has handled P-Stone's death, because every year they have a P-Stone Invitational and everybody gets hammered drunk. Drives home drunk. You know what I mean? I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, people went to prison, somebody died. Like, this is how we celebrate this, is by saying, oh, hell yeah, that was awesome. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you, I want to say something, man. We look at the rise of neckface. These are public people put in places of really high influence.
Right.
And by merit of that influence, they have high authority.
Yeah.
And whoever has chosen neckface to be a front and center personality, a persona in the level of skateboarding at the DIY, lower bobs level of, oh my gosh, I am so going to get beat up.
Dude.
I'm a dead man walking.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Because I'm calling it as I see it. And the rise of neckface is a big mistake that we are making.
Sure. Is he clean now? I don't know enough about neckface.
I'll tell you this. I know enough about neckface to know that you don't know.
Sure.
I don't even know if he was dirty. I don't know if he was an addict. None of this is the story. Even
Go ahead. Well, I'm just asking, what drives that opinion about neckface then? Like, what are you seeing that you're like, no, this doesn't make any sense?
Well, because neckface and his art and his persona are that lurking class, super gnar. You know, I had a guy who got in my face so hard back in the day. He was like, respect the gnar, Lou. And I was like, no, you know, like, I respect the diversity of art offerings that exist in skateboarding.
Sure.
But if there's something, like, don't sexualize children.
Yeah.
And that means if you run a skate shop and you have sexually explicit graphics in your skate shop, you put those where kids don't see them.
Yeah.
I know a skate shop that I've been to many times with people who I love working there. They got a table right when you walk in that place.
Yeah.
And I saw them under 2 managements. And every time, and for this I have receipts, you walked in and there was sexually provocative material in skateboard graphic form on this just waist level table displayed to the door.
Sure.
When kids walked in, they saw butts and boobs and poop and puke and drug use and suicide on that table.
Right.
Displayed, because that's our proud heritage as skateboarders.
Right.
And when I see neckface, I'm looking at even more of just the same stuff. And don't get me started. Don't get me started, because, like, I'm not even appealing to religious sensibilities here. I'm appealing to what I feel like are inherent moral compass points
Yeah.
in humanity.
Sure.
Don't sexually scandalize children. There's a shop I love that I don't want to speak ill of.
Sure.
But this isn't ill speech.
Right.
If you're a skate shop owner and you've got boards that come black bagged and you unblack bag them and put them on the wall, if you've got party pictures on the wall, Polaroids from a party, and there's nudity in those and behavior like that,
Yeah.
don't put those in your skate shop where
Right.
they're gonna damage the
Kids.
innocence of
Right.
children. Well, I would say that a huge portion of skateboarding really got off on that.
Right.
Really got gratification from initiating children into what this one artist called the gnar.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, friends, that's the damage. That's not the gnar.
Right.
Some good frontside grind is gnar.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's sexually scandalizing the innocence of children.
Yeah.
And now this is about opiate abuse.
Right.
And I would say there's been fairly little explicit encouragement to go take opiates.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's there, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And just there is some subjective line somewhere inside of me, and I think inside of all of us, in which you move past, like, yeah, let's all just be hedonists, into actually believing that hedonism is the way to go, because that's my problem with hedonism, because I like the fact that people should basically be able to do whatever they want, but I think people should understand that from my perspective, hedonism leads to a lifestyle in which you can't, it's totally postmodern, it's totally, morals are totally subjective.
Oh,
there is no right and wrong. You know, the fact that Phelps died with a guitar string around his arm with fentanyl in his system, and just fentanyl.
No, I died
That's what it said.
with a guitar in his hand.
I think it was a guitar string around his arm. I think he was using it as a.
Will you read?
Yeah,
for me?
I will.
I want. I'm very uncomfortable.
Okay.
With any inaccuracies to the article.
Oh, found with the neck of a guitar. No, you're right. I'm sorry.
Neck of a guitar in his hand.
And
he was playing guitar when he died.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, no,
it's
the entire
heartbreaking.
thing. No, you're absolutely right. I was
And
wrong.
all of this critique in place, it doesn't reflect on how I feel about each of these individuals as a person.
Right.
This list of people we've lost, I don't want to go through their names because I don't want to capitalize on them, but every single one of them was beloved and cherished and important and made contributions and made mistakes, and all of that is aside from how they died and the mistakes they made in their life. And if I could have breakfast with them,
yeah, dude,
and eat eggs and bacon and then go skate, I would love to do that with each one of them today.
Right. Yep.
But that doesn't change the fact that there's important. So I'm a hedonist, and the thing that makes me happy, I'm gonna do whatever I want. What I want to do is I want to seek wisdom.
Yeah.
And I want to seek understanding beyond just knowledge.
Right.
And I want to speak words from that pursuit into my generation. And I know that there are people who have a problem with that. I found that out. And
well, I think
tough titty.
I think your use of the term hedonism within that context isn't totally accurate, correct?
I'm just turning the rules around.
Which I like it. If that's what we're doing, we can do
I'm
anything.
a hedonist, and so my favorite thing to do is to fear God, consider eternity, and to live my life practicing, theospection, looking to God, and also look into myself and say, hey, how am I living? And also say to you, hey, there's some things, man. We should talk about these things. And what I love about Gifted Hater and Dumb Data and Thrash Talking isn't necessarily the exact thing they say. Yeah. It is literally the fact that they're saying something.
Yes. Which is honestly a sad reality, because it's a sad reality. Like when you're in a rough spot, when you're like, well, at least somebody's saying something, or at least it's in the lane of some sort of critique, even if it's hidden behind kind of comedic take. You know what I mean?
They describe their own work as kind of shit talking, and and that's not what I do.
Sure.
I'm not here to capitalize on spoofing people, but
Right.
I'm here to capitalize. Everyone needs their income.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about cleaning out some of this garbage. And it's not cleaning it out from skateboarding or skateboarding media.
Right.
It's cleaning it out of our own minds.
Yeah.
Like, clean out your mind.
Yeah.
Some of our listeners are very bound up in just freaking the way they were raised.
Yeah.
Bad things that happened to them in their lives.
Yeah.
And some people would say, I've got nothing but compassion for that. But no, that's not me. I have compassion for that,
Yeah.
but not nothing but compassion for that.
Yeah.
I have another thing besides compassion.
Right.
I have a compulsion to tell you, yeah, but keep moving.
Yeah, do it. Go.
Keep
right.
learning.
Yeah, right.
Grow, change,
Right.
become an adult.
Right.
Even,
Go ahead.
and I mean this in both the Boston troll guy's way,
Yeah.
be a man.
Be a man.
But
yeah,
also, I like adult better because some of our listeners need to be a woman, you know.
Yeah, sure.
And I see we have Eric Sanders piping in on here. And Eric
Yeah.
has a great personal story about buying it, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
The Thrasher How to Live. Thrasher really did teach people how to live.
Well, and one of the things within this
That's a
article that
problem.
I'd like to talk about is that, so the guy who owns Thrasher, his name is Tony, and I don't know how to say his last
Vitello.
name. Vitello.
That's
Okay.
Fausto's son.
I wasn't for sure if it was
Yeah.
a Y or you did the L. So Tony Vitello says here, he says, Vitello also struggled with the decision to withhold Phelps' cause of death, admitting that he still carries guilt for covering Phelps while he was alive. Then he says,
Covering for Phelps.
yeah. He couldn't really form a sentence. He was slurring his words and drooling.
Yes, he was.
Vitello said, I can't totally dodge the idea that I had somebody working for me that was a danger not only to himself but to other people. He said Phelps long prided himself on being the smartest person in the room, a title that Vitello said his addiction stripped from him. He said that the stigma and shame for Phelps didn't come from the pressure of society, but rather what his drug use turned him into. The reason that I think that little section is important is because it is a vignette and it highlights one of the avenues that pure, unadulterated hedonism in the form of skateboarding, skate till you die, make the trick, commit every time, which was something that Phelps was really down for. You can tell that that's the price that a person has to pay, because another thing that they talk about within the article is the fact that they think the reason that Phelps went into drugs is because he wasn't able to skate the way that he felt like he should be able to. And his sister in the article says that she started to see a difference in Phelps right here. Marie Phelps, Jake's sister, said that she noticed a shift in Phelps' behavior after he had surgery on a repeated injury elbow a few years before he died.
That elbow was gnarly.
And you can see, like, if you want to be full-blown skater, you're going to run the risk of sustaining lifelong injuries that are going to make you not be able to skate the way that you wish you could. And sometimes the result of those things are things like addiction to alcohol, addiction to opiates, and sometimes the end of those things is horrible death. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
this is like such a good vignette. This is what drives me to speak out. This is a reason that I like doing the podcast with you, because we are talking about these things and they're so terribly important. This is why the shut up and skate. This is why the, come correct, don't come at all. This is why the core culture is bothersome, because there are avenues, and some of them very wide within their ethos, that drive people to this end. And you can see it. I think that our point is proven, or at least mine is, in that, because it's Phelps, it's all the other boys that did the same thing. It's Monk, it's Phelps, it's Jeff Grosso, on and on and on.
And even everything you're saying is
Yeah.
is solid.
Yeah.
There is a false authority that is exercised by your corporate overlords.
Sure.
It plays out in the branding agencies of your favorite brands.
Yeah.
It plays out through the example and the words of our skateboarding hero class.
Yeah.
The wild partying and the irresponsible hedonistic living that are causing death. This false authority, I mean, Phelps was the pinnacle of it.
Yeah.
He operated in a complete gatekeeping authority over everything that happened in skateboarding in the mind of the Thrasher fandom.
Yeah.
And that fandom has kind of been handed over by, I think this is highly debatable, and I'm
Sure.
not very interested in the debate, but
Right.
the Lower Bob's crew really seems to have the swoop.
Sure.
Whoever's making decisions at Thrasher seems to kind of have handed the mantle over to several personalities, with Neckface being a key one. And they've kind of, they're carrying the torch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Because Jake Phelps was the one who always gave out Skater of the Year. He was always the one pushing everybody, don't bail, just eat shit. You can see what just eating shit and don't bail and don't worry about anything except total skateboarding, that it can drive a person into that route. I think it's unfair to say that that's the only route it can drive a person, but at the very least, you can see that a person would end up totally physically broken and like mentally unprepared to interact with reality without that even crutch. Skateboarding could, without that overarching ethos, and it's actually really sad. That's why, skate till you die or whatever, or the overarching cultural push.
Skate or die.
Yes.
Skate and destroy.
Skate and destroy, all that stuff I reject to some extent, because I think that it's a thing that bankrupts people mentally and physically and emotionally, and it has to be more than that. You know what I mean? If you're gonna live a life with purpose and meaning, you can derive some from skateboarding, but I don't know that it can be the end all be all for people, though I'm sure people are definitely trying, and maybe there are some people who can accept the fact that they're not going to be a great skateboarder, and that's just the way they want to live, and they're just pushing forward, and they're going to live their entire life like that.
But the person the profile of a person who is happy with their just riding their skateboard,
right?
And they may be very gifted, and they may have persevered and carved out some amazing tricks.
Yeah.
All right. Most of the tricksters I know have a very hard attitude on themselves.
Sure.
They are blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
Blood in the sand, full gladiator arena, full alpha pursuit on getting the trick. Okay.
Sure.
But that's not everyone. There are some very, very cool, interesting unicorn people out there who are happy.
Yeah.
And haven't taken this bait, hook, line, and sinker to chase after the glory of that culture.
Sure.
And I'm not automatically critical of people who are good at skateboarding, but when a person gets good at skateboarding and they receive these accolades, the high fives and the bro hugs,
sure,
there's a temptation for them not to round out and finish becoming a person.
Right.
And especially if they get into the money lane.
Sure.
And they can choose to not do life.
Yeah.
And do some normal stuff.
Right.
I'm critical of that, but not without respect to how hard it is to turn and to get on a different track.
Yeah.
And I know that I can be hard to understand.
Sure.
Because it's like you're just hating on
yeah.
people who are good at skateboarding because you're no good at skateboarding.
Right.
I don't believe that I'm no good at skateboarding or that I'm not a real skateboarder.
Right.
I think that's a dumb argument.
I agree.
The idea that I'm arguing against all this encouragement of self-destructive stuff because I'm jealous of tricks.
Yeah, right.
That's what we call a dumb argument.
It's at least lazy. Yeah.
It's lazy.
It's
It's
lazy.
facile. You're picking some low-hanging fruit.
Right.
But, you know, in terms of who's a good skateboarder and who's not a good skateboarder,
Right.
that's also dumb.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
I'm not a terrible skateboarder.
No.
That's just not the case.
Right.
And, you know, like, I remember years and years of the he's not a real skateboarder. He's a God-fearer.
Yeah.
They don't belong in skateboarding.
Yeah.
That's a dark road to go down. Is that
Yeah.
the way things are going to be?
Right.
That's not even, who has any time for that?
Yes.
Or, you know, the thing is, like, if I was just like, if I come out and start kick flipping my giant 34 inch long board
Right.
and stuff like that, and start 3-flipping and doing stuff like that, none of that will change any of the material that we're treating here.
No.
There's nothing I can do to qualify ideas and arguments that are already self-evident
Yeah.
and solid. You know, so I'm not even gonna like do that thing.
Right.
I'll do whatever I want to on my skateboard, and if that includes generations of good skaters never learned to ollie. It's at this point that I would say to the folks who are like, you're just mad that you can't kickflip. Once again, I would say, let me jump on that hand grenade.
Yeah.
Sure I am.
Dude, kickflips are cool, man.
They're very cool.
They're badass. Yeah.
They're very cool. And I'm not just mad I can't kickflip, which I can.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I'm not just mad that I'm mad that though I can kickflip,
right,
that when I kickflip, the kickflips are terrible.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
They're not even boned out.
They're not at all.
Right.
There's
They're like 2 inches off the ground.
I'm just rolling the thing over.
Right. Almost by accident.
Right. So,
yeah.
so I mean, it's probably grown back to some extent, but the fascia on the outside of my front foot is not intact.
Yeah.
And so when I kickflip, my foot tends to dislocate. Just subluxate. It tends to pop out and pop in.
Sure,
so far it hasn't come out all the way.
Good.
But I just have never preferred doing stuff that makes me maybe not be able to skate for a while.
Sure.
So yeah, okay, sure, fine. Am I grumpy about that? Not at all.
Yeah, I know.
Because I get cheered up, and you know what cheers me up? Riding my skateboard the way that I do like to ride it.
Crazy dog.
All right, so putting aside arguments that I'm just a jealous little Nancy.
Right.
No, I hate conformity for conformity's sake. I hate standards of conformity that are market driven by corporate interests that want to keep selling you garbage, factory garbage,
right,
when you have a perfectly good option to do other things if you even knew, but you'll never know those things are going on because the media that teaches you how to be a skateboarder,
right,
all you obedient, drone level skaters,
right,
have sucked down this concept of legitimacy. This is where I'm not criticizing and punching up to them. I'm punching directly sideways to you,
Dang.
the skateboarder. Hey, wake up. You've been sold a bill of goods by your corporate overlord, for years.
Right.
These guys don't have it together. You shouldn't have looked to them for your organizing philosophies in life.
Sure.
You got a good thing going with that little wheelie board of yours, but you don't have a good thing going listening to, admiring, and aspiring to replicate the example of your mainstream guys. It's a false authority in your life. It was never about that. Find some better authority. Question authority, not just for the sake of being a rebellious little nonce, but for, being a petulant little brat all the time, but for the sake of discovering reliable authority in your life. Go further. Like, some people love to ask philosophical questions, but they hate getting philosophical answers.
I know, dude.
They want they want to keep swimming. They don't want to touch bedrock. I get it.
Right.
I get it, because of finding and discovering real authority for forming your life can make you feel bad. You may have to change some of the ways that you live, and but I'm for it.
I'm interested in the fact that I'm going to make a correlation. I don't know if it's true or not.
Do it, Luke.
But I see a correlation between sports or art forms or things that people are really passionate and like to do that are based in passion and don't have it, and whose driving ethos is do it however you want. You can see that they're really prone to being bled dry, usually by the people who are pushing that ethic the hardest. They're bled dry, and the bandwidth is driven really small, and you can see inside that real hypocrisy, and just like a like I think about Thrasher and the Barracks, and I'm like, dude, these guys are total parasites, because they're the first person to tell you, come correct, be core, skateboarding is all from the heart, and then they'll say skateboarding's for everybody, and be totally hypocritical within their own driving narrative, but then also be the guys who are making a bunch of money off of all the skateboarding that happens. You know what I mean? So everybody else just wants to go skate and get skateboarding gear and be a part of what's happening because they're so revved up on skateboarding. And you can see that it is not a symbiotic relationship at all.
It's a parasitic relationship.
It's a parasitic relationship, and it's a little dark, especially when at the end of all the roads, it's just like dead bodies of your heroes with fentanyl in their system, and people's lives have been totally destroyed by alcohol poisoning, and people who can't walk anymore, who just gatekeep now because they just destroyed themselves skateboarding. And I think you're so right. Like, we're not punching up. That's fine. We're punching sideways because it's our responsibility as just human adults to decide what we want to be a part of. And as much as we all wish that there was something we could do that we didn't have to deal with these things, you can see what not dealing with these things and just shutting up and skating are doing. Because skateboarding is not, in my opinion, does not inherently fulfill a person. It is so empty. Dude, I remember just even starting skateboarding, and I freaking loved it. And I was so down. I was getting broke off all the time. But I remember feeling like, wow, this definitely is, for an overarching, like, spiritual, mental, emotional fulfillment, this is not it.
No, it's not.
This is not it. This is not enough by a long shot to fulfill me. Because as soon as you leave the skate park, you just feel empty again. Or as soon as you go to the skate park and you have a bad session, you're done. Like, there's nothing there. You can see it's all smoke and mirrors. It bothers me. It really, really bothers me.
So it seems like we've gone from talking about, drugs are bad. People who encourage you into that stuff are even worse.
Yes.
Is that true? I don't know if that's true.
That's fine. It's an opinion.
But people who think that that's cool,
right,
aren't cool.
Yeah.
But what do you do when that's your corporate overlords who own the airwaves, and anytime somebody critiques that, they get crushed.
Right.
They can't go to the bar near their house because they're going to get, like shoved, pushed, or, I got shoved 3 times by sponsored skateboarders at public, events, and I just stopped going because I do not, as a grown adult male, I do not aspire to have my life taken up by the civil suits and the criminal issues that would be part and parcel of those things happening. Because, I've seen a million bar fights.
Dude.
I've seen plenty of bar fights at punk shows and things like that. Nobody gets bound up on any charges or anything like that. The cops will even come, let everybody go. But the minute I get in one, that I'm going to be thrown in jail.
Right.
I know how it goes.
Right.
So I'm not about that.
No.
And I don't have an ego attached to those things. So, yeah, okay, fine, man. Have the bar. Have the premieres for a t-shirt, t-shirt premieres, and have the documentaries about yourselves and all that stuff. Have all that. That's fine. I'll be out here with the kooks and playing on my skateboard and being nice to scooter kids who are just kids. You should be nice to kids.
Yeah, come on, man. Right.
And but we've gone from talking about some of the most sinister things to you're talking about the deeper ethics of life and fulfillment,
Right.
and how, and the reason I think this is worth highlighting is because there's an attitude and an idea form
Right.
in the mind of mainstream skateboarding. You may be a skateboarder watching this, and this may fit you like a glove. And this I think it's a bad idea. And the idea is hashtag thank you skateboarding. Or hashtag
Right.
skateboarding saved my life.
Right.
And it is this idea form, this glob of ideas in which the meaning of my life is found in riding the wooden toy.
Right.
And it still is better than sports that play with balls and bats and things like that, in my opinion.
Right.
But you know, football doesn't save you. Give your life for the money in football, and very few people get any.
Yep.
And man, have I ever known a lot of guys who, from the time they were 18 years old, had a bad knee.
Yep.
And then they had to become an electrician and go through crawl spaces with a rebuilt knee
Yeah.
in the 90s and the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's not worth as much as they're telling you.
Yeah.
It's just not worth. Skateboarding is not worth your health.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. I saw a video of a kid jumping down a thing today, and I texted it over to Luke. It wasn't that risky or anything, but it was
Sure.
one more of those clips.
Right.
We got a little kid for nothing but bro hugs, high fives, and clout, jumping down a big old thing, get to the bottom of it, and you got about 15, 18 feet of run out
Yeah.
into grass.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like, I don't know how many tries it took. Yeah, it just didn't look like it took 100 tries, but that's the kind of stuff that's in your mainstream stuff. Guys are
Right.
stacking up clips and getting concussions. And don't even get me started about, you know, we talked about drugs, we talked about alcohol.
Right.
What about CTE?
Uh,
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. You know, what about that? I mean, I've watched, there are clip reels that if you didn't have your armor on, you might actually be encouraged to get a brain injury while you're skateboarding because of the legitimacy that that gives you.
Sure.
You might be Skater of the Year because you, let's see, so gave me the ability and the confidence to approach other things. See, even in the way this is put, skateboarding saved my life is true. Skateboarding gave me the ability and the confidence to approach other parts of life with the same sort of zest and perseverance that I applied to skateboarding. Yeah, the thing is, skateboarding was the cup, but the wine in the cup was your own perseverance and your own discipline and your own practice and your advancement in degrees and levels of capability. The confidence that you got didn't come from skateboarding. It could have been karate. It could have been football. It could have been wrestling team or Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It could have been freaking cycling. It could have been archery. It could have been that thing where they swim and then they
triathlons.
Yeah,
and
it could have been
shoot
Ironmans and triathlons.
Right.
It could have been Jocko Willink or David Goggins or the military.
Sure.
You know, it could have been a number of things, but all those things aren't what it is. They are opportunities within which you form and you display to yourself what you are. And there's some really positive, the fact that it was skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know, look, man, I'm not here to have a debate on whether you're allowed to put hashtag skateboarding without Lou
Right.
coming on your page and giving you a lecture.
Right.
You've known Lou for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And not a single time
Right.
have I gone on someone else's page and written them a lecture. This
Sure.
is my podcast. All right? And so you tune in to me to hear what I think. Things that I'm not going on your Facebook and Twitter and, you know, Shit Talk or wherever you are. I'm not
Right.
going on your stuff and saying this. I'm going on my stuff and saying this. And I really think that it's fine if you have trouble splitting this hair in some sort of a conversation, in which we're batting it around. But I say to you with some degree of assurance that, yeah, man, it's actually not skateboarding. Skateboarding is playing. Playing is how we learn. Learning is what matters. And if skateboarding was a way that you learn some things, and you go do something else and learn the rest of the things, okay, and I might not be talking to the person that is writing here.
Yeah.
There are things we need to learn that skateboarding can't teach us.
Sure.
And we got to go and learn those things too. I wrote down here, while Luke was talking, I wrote, you can do whatever you want on your skateboard, and you can learn a lot of things by doing that.
Right.
But in life, what's so weird is that in life, watch your alcohol intake. Stay away from drugs.
Sure.
Stay away from people who encourage you to use drugs.
Sure.
And live righteously. Do the right thing.
Sure.
Even when it hurts. And tell the truth, even in small things. Practice the truth.
Yeah.
And humble yourself. And clean your room.
Clean your room.
Clean
Yes,
your room.
dude.
Make your bed and clean your room.
We've got 50 seconds left on the podcast, just so you know, which
Wow.
is such a travesty because this is such a good conversation.
Well, this was 90 minutes spent with the CapmLew podcast. We're on Apple, Spotify, Podbean,
Google Play,
YouTube, all of the things. We're packing it out on YouTube. These
TikTok,
episodes are
Instant
on.
Blub.
We've got them on my Facebook. They go from Facebook to YouTube. Enjoy.
Thanks,
friends.
Laters.
Okay, well, we're still with Facebook for a moment while this is processing out. Battery life was good on that.
That's awesome.
This has been a good little session. A bit of a head and a mind stretcher. I feel like I'm grateful for that maybe we might be onto some good stuff.
Yeah, next episode, I'd really like to discuss what this person who will remain unnamed on the faceplate is talking about, because
They're one of the people I respect the most
Yes,
in
100%,
skateboarding.
sure, yeah.
100%
Yes.
a solid dude in
Which is
skateboarding.
sick.
And by the way,
Yeah.
this what went on at the end of the podcast. I'm not oppositional to
Yeah.
a person who wants to hashtag thank you skateboarding, but that is up for some critique, analysis, and a little more depth.
Yes.
And this person as well,
Yeah.
they know everything I'm talking
Yes,
about, and
yeah,
they practice
which is
it.
sick, yeah.
They practice it in their life. Their
Yeah.
dealings are actually, it's weird that this person is on here saying it, and they are laughing the whole time.
Yes.
Going skateboarding is good for you.
Yes, it is.
But going skateboarding with a bunch of lurkers who are going to give you pills or encourage you to party and waste your life isn't.
Yes. And
It's not the skateboarding
Right.
part that's the bad part.
And I would argue that this person lands outside of the bell curve statistically of what skateboarding has done for people, because he has applied himself with integrity in the things of life that are important. And skateboarding was a tool for that.
Yeah.
And I don't know
It's-
this person
it's
super well.
It's like an arena.
Yeah. You get to decide what you want to do with it. In that way, skateboarding is great because with the right driving principles, you can use skateboarding and do really fun stuff. And it is a great release and good exercise and super duper fun. Oh my gosh. Every single one of my friends currently is a skateboarder.
It's a great social hub,
Yeah.
and it can be a terrible social
Oh my
hub.
gosh. Yeah, totally.
It can be terrible.
Right. And if we don't watch
With-
it, it'll continue to be.
With
Like,
the
go ahead.
right driving principles, we are saying
Yeah.
that a huge part of mainstream skateboarding
Right.
operates by bad principles.
Yeah.
We're-
Yes.
we're saying it.
Yes.
We're saying that, dudes, you need to be picky about the principles you build your life on.
Yeah.
And someone would say, this isn't appropriate for skateboard media.
Come on,
sit
man.
on a tack.
Yeah, get out of here, dog.
Go sit on a tack.
Yeah.
Nobody gets to tell us what's appropriate for
Right.
skateboarding media.
Right.
That's
Right.
dumb.
Right. Yeah, come on, man.
That's dumb.
Jeez, that's so funny. Go sit on a tack, he says.
I'm just saying, that's just not good thinking?
Yeah. What's funny about all this is that I was having a conversation with a friend over the weekend, and we were discussing the new Batman movie with Edward Snowden or whatever his name is, and
Edward Snowden.
The villain in that movie is really interesting, and we were discussing how the villain plays out his internal chaos into the world and his motivation, and it became apparent quickly that maybe Jordan Peterson is more right than we think, because he's discussing like archetypal characters and the fact that all of human existence is revolving around much larger questions about meaning and purpose and, you know, inherent morals and morality and the way that that plays out in the world. And I think skateboarding really fits that mold really well, because to some degree the person on the live stream is correct that I think the point that he's advocating is that skateboarding is a tool to be used, and it depends on how you use it. And we're advocating that we think that there are better tools out there, one, and two, if you use the tool in alignment with the overarching culture, that it's not going to save your life. And in some cases, it could be a detriment to your life. And this is evidenced in the most core people who have died running so hard down that line. You know,
it's not the skateboarding that does or does not save your life. It's like eggs in baskets, friends.
Right.
Skateboarding does not fulfill the needs of real life philosophy or religion.
Right.
Or it isn't those things. It's because of our ridiculous affluence in the West that we have the option to declare such a thing as skateboarding as our organizing principle in life.
Yeah, it is.
To attribute to riding skateboards this great soteriology.
Yes.
You know, that and you guys don't know the word soteriology. Look it up, fool.
Yeah, it's a good one.
We've ascribed to skateboarding this it's a religious significance, and that plays right into the corporate conglomerate.
Right.
Because they capitalize on that, because they're the priesthood class, and they get to hand down from the mountain all the commandments of stoke and suck. Right. And they get you, man. That's how they get you. Yeah. They get you buying, ride the best, F the rest. They get you straight down the line, and that's party line, corporate, and you fall for it, hook, line, and sinker, because God bless you, you are a sweet kid. Yeah. Except now you're in your 40s or your 50s.
Yeah, maybe you're not so sweet
You're getting too old for this.
Yeah, totally. You're getting too old for it, man.
But there are a lot of folks out there who might hear this, who are in their teens and 20s. Yeah. And they need to hear someone say it. Sadly, they'll be hearing it from me, and they can't listen to me because I don't kickflip.
Yeah, I know, dude.
And in fact, I guess I just pick on kids who do.
Yes. How dare you? We were so mean. That's so funny. That's funny.
The funny thing about skateboarding is, I think it's about what you bring to it. Mm. And if you were living in a different time, I don't know if we would have so much leisure time. Yeah. To play out these little dramas in leisure time. Right. And but I know guys who are just as involved with hunting. Yeah. As we are with skateboarding. Yeah. Hunting is epic. Yeah. I know there are lots of things in this world to hang your hat on: skiing, snowboarding. Right. There's a whole life. Yes. Surfing, lifting. Yep. Oh, it's all over. Motorcycling. All kinds of these sort of motorcycling. Right. My goodness, it just wants to open its mouth up and swallow you into the hey brother, like all this stuff. Yeah. And I just have found better baskets for my eggs. Yep. Than these things. That said. Yeah. It's your basket, bro. You can fill it up. Someone could accuse me of being a skateboarder.
How dare they?
Yeah, and
Yourself.
I do wear boots all day. I switch into my skate shoes, so maybe I'm not a real skateboarder because it's all about what shoes you're wearing.
Yeah, I forgot. Right.
It is.
What if they're Red Wings?
Right?
Yeah.
No, you only skate in boots if you're a core park builder, and you better build the park too hard to skate
for anybody
Absolutely.
ever, right? So people can come up.
You can grind a death box switch. That makes it so that this is well built.
Which is why all the great skateboarders come out of the Midwest, not places where they build parks that are easy to skate with multiple avenues of terrain that are all amazing, right?
I'm saying. I'm saying.
Yeah.
There is enough ridiculous, hypocritical silliness in skateboarding to keep podcasts like this in business for decades.
For decades, dude.
We don't. It's not our wish to capitalize on that, but it does feel like such a time as this is upon us.
Yes.
Where these things that are not allowed to be talked about. I think it's time for us to be breaking that rule.
Yeah, for real.
Just break the rule.
Yeah. Break it, Frenchie.
Break my arm, Frenchie.
Do it.
And if that means that a bunch of cats who think that Neckface should be the face of Thrasher magazine and that kind of media is what the kids should have on breakfast, lunch, and dinner and skateboarding, if that makes those cats think that, I need to be with this or that or make it about me or whatever, it's really about ideas that just don't get platformed enough.
Yeah.
I would say don't kill the messenger, but I know you always do.
Yeah, you guys will, though.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's just part of it.
Dude, at least we're not alone. It's nicer to do it together.
It
is.
is.
I might as well be in a foxhole with somebody else.
It is, and even if we get separated,
yeah, I got your back. I'll see you in 20.
God's with us.
Yeah.
I'll catch you on that cattle car on the way to the converted Walmart FEMA camp for all of us independent thinkers.
Yes, that's so funny. Oh
well,
gosh.
enjoy the afterglow with our Facebookers.
Yes.
All one of them, two of them, that's fine. And this will be on YouTube, so I don't know.
GoTube.
Nobody's going to watch this long.
It's fine,
I
dude.
don't care a bit.
Dude, I watched Jordan Peters and his goes like 2.5 hours. I'll watch a Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's a good podcast. I don't listen to it anymore, though.
Yeah. I just kept snippets.
I don't feel like most people have the time for this, man.
Well,
it's
people
fun.
like work in places. I work in a place where you can put something on and listen to a lot of things.
I would hope that maybe we would become a podcast that people would listen to.
Yeah.
That would be just fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I do not like what happens to people who pursue the clout and the profile, the platforming and all
totally,
that.
Yeah.
I'm enthusiastically unenthusiastic about that aspect of this. So we're just going to keep putting out the content.
Right.
And I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I mean, if you could make a living talking about the things that we talked about today, that would be like almost a dream job.
Well, that's what we're going to do.
Which is nice.
We're going to talk about that.
Sick.
I don't know about what's weird is this.
Go ahead.
Doing the things that if we were to become a podcast that people listen to, I don't want it to be because we pandered to getting people to listen.
Yeah, let's not do that, dude.
Yeah.
Let's not do
I
that.
want our work in podcasting to be its own thing, and if it hits with someone and helps them, and sometimes hitting and helping can look like making them very angry and them coming on your stuff and freaking out or whatever. That's actually good.
Means you're over the target, baby.
That can mean you're over the target. It can.
Sometimes it means you're being a dick, but I don't think we're running that line too hard.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of a subjective opinion when somebody's being a dick,
I definitely do not agree with people who accuse me of bullying. Yeah. And like that. But keep it coming.
Yeah. Come on, though.
It's you throw a nice stone into a pack of wolves.
Right.
The one that yelps is the one you got. And I'm okay with that. Because these wolves have got to back off this village.
I know.
They're eating the children, man.
They straight up are.
They are.
I'm not the weakest. Yeah.
I was voted wolf unfriendly.
Yeah.
Because remember what we're talking about. To me, the stakes are extremely high.
Yeah.
We're talking about a mainstream media culture in skateboarding that is just fine with you having a beer and a bump.
Yeah.
They're just fine with it.
Yeah.
Ever since Harmony Korine and Kids and New York, growing up there, and the 90s set in on skateboarding, and all of a sudden we exalted all of these weird media heroes.
Yeah.
And no, that's not what skateboarding, that's not the best it can be. And no, I don't prefer contest circuit drama, catty garbage, careerist stuff either. Just playing with skateboards is fun. It's not that important.
Yeah.
And I'm sad that the people that we really could have got that from, who were so much more qualified in the art of skateboarding, tended to live out and promote a different thing.
Yeah.
But in my opinion today, one of the best of them was actually Grosso.
Yeah.
I think that Grosso put down mileage of representing how ludicrous and silly and stupid skateboarding is, and he beautifully juxtaposed being ridiculously opinionated about how a trick should be done.
Yes, dude.
With he was ridiculously opinionated about that, while being strongly opinionated that is ludicrous.
Yeah, that's like the dumbest thing ever. Right.
He
it was so good, dude.
Absolutely art.
It's so good.
He brought that to art level.
Literally.
And his frontside air hatred and telling people they were doing their inverts wrong, mixed with his admission that he was a silly boy, was so healthy for us.
Yes, and that was media I could really consume with.
I missed him.
Glee. Yeah, me too.
I do. I miss him, but I'm not asking you to give me credit for that. He gets credit for that.
Yeah.
And well, we got too many dead friends to be chill, so we're not going to be. Catch us later.
Laters.